You know, me being in North Idaho, I've been playing indoors since like day one. So I personally love indoors. It's a little faster. Maybe that's why I've had great results in Utah as well, because I'm used to those fast conditions. I don't know, maybe half of the events, but yeah, better for viewing purposes, no conditions. It's nice and loud in there. I mean, the freaking Utah crowd was going insane. It was cool to be indoors. Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a little tight in there. Like, I think walking around was definitely a little limited.
I think too, how much pressure does that take off of organizers when you know you're inside? Weather's not going to be a fact. I mean, the worst I guess you deal with is if an AC goes out, but I don't think it was a problem. It stayed cool in there, even when it was packed full of people. You risk the ability to pack in fans and that sort of thing if you don't have a facility large enough.
Right, you can only do so much indoors, right? Yeah. K-Mac, give us your thoughts on indoor pickle.
I think especially for right now, and especially for MLP, either indoor or smaller, more intimate settings, I think just makes sense because you want to feel the energy on court. I mean, that's part of the MLP culture. I think the future is like half and half because I really do think, indoors makes a better product. So I think the progression of the game, being on TV more spectators, I like the blend of some indoor play.
No, it's true. It's definitely more tactical and much more precise going indoors. What's going on? My name is Tyson McGuffin. Welcome to the McGuffin Show. We are back from Salt Lake Sizzles. Always love going to Salt Lake City. Young fan base. Courts all over. Kids playing outdoors. Late night. We actually stayed in this little place called Mountain Green, which was lovely.
Yeah.
And there was a K-Mac. There was a park right next to us. 4 outdoor pickleball courts. We ended up flying in, I don't know, late night, that first night, Monday night. Drove to our Airbnb, got there at like midnight. Anyhow, drove by the park at 11:45 and 2 courts were going. Kids out there, lights on, out there playing pickle. I mean, does it get better than that?
Utah, baby, they know how to do it.
They know how to do it right.
All the generations get down.
Right?
Grandparents kicking their grandkids' butt. I mean, honestly, like a few years ago when I played TOC, that's what I saw. Public park, the moment the outdoor lights came on, there were 8-year-olds, there were 80-year-olds, everything in between. It's the way pickleball should be, and I think that's what the future of the sport's going to look like.
No, for sure. And talking about Salt Lake City, or talking about Utah, obviously a bunch of indoor locations there in Utah, and one that we played at this weekend was called the Pickler. Beautiful location, black backdrop. They had like this light wood touches on all the benches and on all the doors and stuff. Anyhow, each court was individually fenced. Great location. How many courts do they have indoors? How many courts indoors there?
At the Pickler location?
Yes. You know the exact number. I know you do.
I'm not sure. I want to say at least 12, yeah.
12 of those bad boys. They had championship court. They brought a bunch of bleachers in. Championship court was rock and rolling. They had a DJ spinning the whole time, played a bunch of 90s.
He did a great job.
He did a great job. Played a mixture of tunes. Also, grandstand court, had bleachers around it. Great setup. And that was our first, was that our first event indoors this year? I think it was. Dedicated indoors. I mean, obviously it's rained and we've gone indoors, but yeah, I think that was our first event indoors. Right. The great thing about playing pickleball indoors is it's a great product. I think it's better for viewing purposes. Why? Because there's no conditions. The level is bound to get very good. And, also with us being in Utah and being in Salt Lake City, I think the elevation was like 4,800 feet. Definitely was fast. And indoors, it was a little cooler. So it was definitely a little slappy indoors, if you know what I mean, K-Mac.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't have minded it one bit.
Oh, yeah.
We did it.
Knife away and trust that third ball drive, baby.
Knife and swing, baby. Shorten those points.
Hey.
So talk about indoor, Tyson.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're obviously playing the PPA Tour. You're playing MLP. Future of pickleball, 5-10 years from now.
I like it
indoors. How many of the
stops
stops do you think are indoor versus outdoor? Do you think there's a blend? What do you think?
Me being in North Idaho, us building a 4-court indoor facility in our backyard. In about 6 months, I'm going to be an indoor court specialist.
You already are.
No, I'm just kidding. So I've been playing indoors since like day one. So I personally love indoors. It's a little faster. Maybe that's why I've had great results in Utah as well, because I'm used to those fast conditions. But I think I don't know, maybe half of the events, but yeah, I think some of the benefits that I just mentioned are better for viewing purposes, no conditions. It's nice and loud in there. I mean, the freaking Utah crowd was going insane. It was so loud in there. Music's pumping. Anytime the Black Diamonds played, even though they went 1-5, didn't matter. I kid you not. It just seems like the state of Utah is so passionate about their sports.
For sure.
I actually went to a UFC event where the Utah Jazz play. This was last year with Craig. And I've also been to a UFC event, like 5 rows behind the octagon in Vegas. And obviously Vegas is insane, but just the energy and the passion for MMA fighting there in Salt Lake City that Craig and I saw about 6 months ago was insane. And so, no, it was cool to be indoors. I thought MLP put out a great product, and yeah, I mean, obviously it was a little tight in there. Like, I think walking around was definitely a little limited, but championship court was rocking, was packed. Wasn't all that busy on Thursday, but come Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the place was mayhem for sure.
No, for sure. And I think too, just like a side note, but how much pressure does that take off of organizers when you know you're inside, you're not going to deal with, like, weather's not going to be a fact. I mean, the worst, I guess, you deal with is if an AC goes out, which I think temporarily, I think at the player lounge, the AC didn't work, but I don't think it was a problem. It stayed cool in there. Even when it was packed full of people, I mean, I don't know. I think, I guess you risk the ability to pack in fans and that sort of thing if you don't have a facility large enough.
Right.
But,
you can only do so much indoors, right?
But you definitely save yourself in having to fight weather and all the above.
K-Mac, give us your thoughts on indoor pickle.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think especially for right now, and especially for MLP, either indoor or smaller, more intimate settings, I think just makes sense because you want to feel the energy on court. I mean, that's part of the MLP culture. I think in general for pickleball, I think the future is like half and half, because I really do think, indoors makes a better product. It allows for players to be more precise with their drops and their placement. I think then it leads to more aggressive dinking, more attacking. Whereas if you're playing in just really windy conditions, you're just giving yourself bigger targets. You're trying to just keep your error count down. And then you lose some of the strategy. I think at times when you're facing that many conditions, you're just trying to keep it as clean as possible. So I think the progression of the game, being on TV more spectators, I like the blend of some indoor play.
It's true. It's definitely more tactical and much more precise going indoors.
I've seen some pro tennis tournaments inside. Is that typically?
Couple of them.
Yeah. Is that due to weather, or are they intentionally, like, isn't there a Texas? I think
there's some like challenger events that are indoors. I think there's some pro events that are indoors as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
but then you look at other racket sports, ping pong, badminton, racquetball. I mean, they're all indoors, right? So it's kind of deciding what we want pickleball to be. Obviously, if we go more the tennis route, more outdoors. But if we lean on some of the other sports that were similar, maybe there's a blend.
I know my sweat glands would rather be indoors. That's for sure. Even though I was still soaking wet indoors in Salt Lake City.
You'll always find a way.
I will always find a way. If your last name is McGuffin, you are bound to blow through shirts. Okay.
And shoes sometimes.
Let's see here. Dun. Also, too, did you guys see those custom Orlando squeeze shoes that I was rocking? Damn, those things look good. Got the white and orange. Got the all orange with some white and the splash out sole. Anyhow, I've been asked if those shoes are getting sold, and I'm sorry, those will not be sold. Those are just my custom shoes.
So if you get your hands on a pair, they're going to be worth a lot of money.
They are.
I'm going to have to steal one from you and just save it for 20 years.
They certainly are. Anyhow, just got back here, flew in late Sunday night, did some teaching up at Gaza yesterday. Let's see. Didn't get to play any golf yesterday, dang it. But I woke up this morning. It was rainy outside, so couldn't go to Gaza. So Ty and I picked up Ty last night in Moses Lake. Ty's with us for 2 more weeks of summer. So Ty and I went to the driving range. Actually, no, we did 10 minutes of putting. We did 15 minutes of chipping. And then we went to the driving range for about an hour, banged a couple large baskets. And
get your dynamic warm up in. Do it right.
Don't just hit the driving range. See it all. Hit some putts, hit some chips. And then freaking crush that driver on the D range, baby. And then I'm playing 18 holes later. I'm sure K-Mac is wondering about that. I'm just kidding. But anyhow, so it's been a good day here, filming some content. And anyhow, our team over the weekend didn't have the best weekend. So looking to have a better showing in Kansas City coming this weekend, back-to-back weekends. SOC this last weekend, then we go straight to Kansas City. We play 2 on Sunday and then 1 on Monday. And then K-Mac, you guys play what? 2 Friday and then 1 Monday?
Yeah, one Saturday and 2 on Monday. Okay. So we have Sunday as a day off, kind of like you guys had, just kind of that weird kind of day off in between. Probably not a bad thing to rest up and stay focused, but first time for us having a break mid-event.
And K-Mac, tell us, who do you guys play this coming weekend?
We have a tough 3 matches. So we play the Flash right out of the gate. Okay. Obviously very, very tough team. I think they're tied for first right now. Then we play the Drive, and then we play the Ranchers, who are running really hot right now too. So it's going to be three tough ones for us.
Okay. And Sweetie, who do we play this weekend? The Flash first on Sunday.
And then
LA Mad Drops.
Yep. And then the Hustlers, I believe.
And then the Hustlers are going down again. Come on.
Third time's the charm.
Third time's the charm.
Keep going. You got him the first 2.
Tell you what, the Orlando Squeeze is really wishing that mid-season tournament counted for us because we beat some decent teams. And looking at the team standings right now, mid-year, it's not great.
Luck has not been on the side, but definitely looking to bounce back.
I mean, we had a good showing at the mid-season tournament, but
and you guys are like,
we're still just kind
right
of barely in that playoff spot right now, so we don't really have any wiggle room, and standings are tight.
Standings are tight.
You can't get complacent with it wherever you're at.
Let's talk about those mid-year standings. So we have the Flash is number 1, the Ranchers are number 2, the Shock is number 3. K-Mac, you guys are what, 5th or 6th?
I think we're fifth. I think we're 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then K-Mac, hear this out. 4-way tie for challengers. You have the Bouncers, you have the Aces, you have the Bay Area Breakers, and then you have the Hard Eights. It's tight.
Dang.
Very tight.
Dang.
Oh yeah.
Hard Eights came back because I know they didn't do great their first event in Atlanta. They really struggled with some mix, so they've got a lot of momentum. Stone's got them all tuned working.
up.
He's working. He's getting them going.
Oh, yeah.
If there's one team though that looks like they're having a blast out there, it's definitely the Eights.
The Hard Eights?
Yeah, they seem like they have like really good chemistry. That's Irina and Purple Jesus and
Max Manthal, Purple Jesus. When was the first? I have yet to see him hit a third ball drop. The guy literally bangs 99% of every third. He does. And I kid you not, his first step, his closing ability is quick.
He's sneaky good,
He's
man.
sneaky good.
When we played our first event in Atlanta, James and Deckel were killing everybody. They went undefeated that event. We played one practice match against a challenger team against Manthau and Eric Lang against the Eights, and they beat us in that practice match when we were playing really, really well. So he's got some game for sure.
He does.
Then who else do we have on there real quick? Just Eric Lang and then
there's a tall
Yana.
blonde. Yeah,
I thought it was
Yana Newell, right?
Or Newell, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she's
Yana
Ben.
I know, sorry.
Lefty Benny.
It just seems like a team that's having fun, and I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure.
Half the battle is having team chemistry and enjoying yourself out there, win or lose, and I think it obviously leads to more wins than losses.
Energy, passion, fight, and building camaraderie. I feel like it's so
all
necessary.
Things you can control.
For sure. K-Mac knows, right?
It's a long season, right?
And so
when I first got asked to coach DC, like I'm thinking about all the things I could do in practice and, all the strategy things. And once I got a better feel of, relating to the players and just realizing, how much travel they're doing, a main focus for me as a coach is just making it fun and competitive and building a culture and understanding that, there's a little bit of burnout at times and you want your players to prioritize MLP and feel like this is what they're peaking for rather than feel like, oh, it's one more event that's a chore, and that's easier said than done, but I feel like a part of that falls on the coach and the culture that they create.
Yeah,
100%.
Very much so. Okay, so speaking on this weekend, so we ended up going, excuse me, dang, a little hairball. We ended up going 2-4, beat the Sliders. Love me some Mr. Newman, but I also like beating Mr. Newman. We ended up beating the Sliders 3-2 in a Dream Breaker. Fed and I went 3-1 over the weekend. I went 1-3 in mixed. Paris and I lost some matches that we had no business losing.
Some tight ones.
So Viv couldn't be here this weekend. She was dealing with some family stuff. So we were down a player, brought in Millie Rain. make it rain. I thought she played very well. Obviously, she plays for the Miami Pickleball Club Challenger team.
So I'm rocking the hat.
Yeah, that's why she's rocking the hat right now.
A little thank you to Miami PC and Jamie and Johnny.
Ended up with Millie. Millie balled out. I think the first 2 days, I don't think she was as comfortable. Obviously, brand new team. She's having to step up to the play premiere over the weekend. It was all very new. And then obviously we had Saturday off. Fed and I were sick on Sunday, so we couldn't play on Sunday. But I thought Millie shined and played her best on Sunday. And so we ended up going 3-2 against the Sliders. Lost to AZ Drive 1-3, and talk about the margin being so slim. So we so our females lost. Fed and I won, and then I think.
You had a couple match points.
And then our first mixed team was Fed and Millie. They ended up losing, so it's 2-1. Comes down to Paris and I. Paris and I, 23-all against Dylan and Caitlin Christian, right? So we're on Grandstand, and the challenge system on CC is pretty bad. The challenge system on Grandstand is awful.
Non-existent,
right? Non-existent. The crazy thing is that in the first mixed match, there was a line call by AZ Drive. They called it out. Even Morgan and the whole bench saw it was in. We challenged. As we're waiting for the challenge, we're all like on our phones looking at the challenge.
So bad.
Nobody can really see it, but it definitely looks like it's somewhat in, and they don't overturn it, right? And in the very next mixed match, similar line call. I personally don't know if it was in or out, but Paris, so I'm hitting a return, 23-all. I'm on the left, and Paris calls it out. Our whole bench thought it was out. AZ Drive challenges it. They ended up overturning the challenge. AZ Drive won the point, 24-23. We end up losing that, so we lost the match. And then the very next day, we end up playing the Flash, right? Same thing. We're down 2-1. It comes down to Paris and I. Paris and I obviously are our best mixed team over the weekend with Vivian being out. Right. We have 3 match points against J-Dub in Georgia, and we can't even get established, K-Mac. I mean, for gosh sakes, if you're going to make the dance, show up on the dance floor and freaking shine, right? At least put a third in and get your ass up and established. And I'm not going to lie, something that, K-Mac, I'm sure you can vouch for, that you always see in Utah, higher elevation. It's tough to keep the serve in. It's tough to keep the return in, and all the soft stuff is very feely touchy. It's very difficult to just get drops down or dinks down. Right. Anyhow, just 2 matches in a row. Paris and I had good looks at getting our team to a dream breaker, and we couldn't freaking follow through. So it's on us.
Yeah.
Well, no, for sure. And like you said, how tight the margins are. I would say, arguably, if you guys can tie any team, if you can tie 2-2, you have a very good chance at winning the Dream Breakers. And a lot of teams know that, right? So it goes from just a couple of points, losing 1-3, and then you get no points as a team, to potentially tying it and then having a big advantage of getting 2 points, for a Dream Breaker win. So, I mean, that's why you see the standings so tight.
Yeah, for sure.
I think if there is going to be, regular betting on pickleball, I think MLP is where the betting makes sense, because it's very tough to predict.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And I think that just another little note for the viewers, we got notice that so if anybody saw the replay system in Grand Rapids, it was phenomenal. I thought the cameras were great. It was high speed. You could see.
Apparently, come September 1, there's a brand new system.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So come September 1, they've made a deal with that company. That was a trial tournament. And now we will see that review system, not only for just MLP, but also PPA moving forward starting September 1st. So that is a huge deal, I think. Huge deal for pickleball.
Very needed.
Yeah,
very,
absolutely.
very needed.
So I think the only thing I don't know the answer on is that system only on is that system only on center court? Is that system on grandstand and center court? I don't know, what the process is there. Hopefully it's at least on those 2. But I think that makes a huge difference. And I think you're going to see players challenge more knowing that, they have a good system in place.
Right. And so anyhow, come Sunday, Fed was sick as a dog the whole weekend. He finally got me sick like Friday night. By Saturday night, both Fed and I were miserable. That's why we did not play on Sunday. So anyhow, come Sunday, check this out. Squeeze has one premier player, 3 alternates. We end up losing 1-3 to the Ranchers, and then we beat the Diamonds in a Dream Breaker. Shout out to Millie, Spencer Smith, and Roscoe Bellamy.
So
they
sick.
played awesome.
And
Cool.
you know what's so tough? Go ahead, Kyle.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, give some credit to Paris, too. That's got to be a lonely feeling.
No, for
being
sure.
The only premier level player,
all
right?
credit
to have
to
to
Paris.
keep the
MVP.
belief and, fight, compete. It's just an impressive win when you're that big of a disadvantage.
And just to speak a little bit, too, on, just to see the heart and, obviously Fed was just trying to gut it out. I don't know how many IVs the poor guy got. I was even trying to help coordinate, in between matches. He was just having such a hard time, right? And then, obviously, just to, speak on it, everybody, that night, you were starting to feel sick. I definitely I'm still sick. I've gotten a bunch of IVs. I have another one coming today. But yeah, the tough part is, I think, too, you can be an athlete and you can try to gut it out as much as you can. And I think that's what Fed did. But also it's a little tricky being at an indoor facility and not wanting to get not to get your teammates sick, but then also you have all these other people in there. And so it's such a hard call. We've had tournaments where you've been sick and you got it out, but sometimes it's you just have to make this call of oh shoot, do I risk getting the rest of the team sick or getting other people sick in the building, or what do I do? And so to have to make that gut-wrenching last-minute decision, not be able to move your guys' matches, but then to have those alternates step in and play how they did. I mean,
It's awesome to see.
So
but no, K-Mac, touching on Paris Todd, I mean, Paris's performance in Atlanta, our first MLP event, compared to the new Paris that's playing right now, night and day. Much more solid in transition. Shot selection is much more disciplined. She's tough as nails. She fights like there's no tomorrow. She's super passionate and definitely a teammate that you want on your MLP team. So.
Well, it seems like in women's, obviously Vivian wasn't there this time, but it seems like in women's, you were struggling a little bit to see who would really own that left side. And I'm assuming, Paris has stepped up in that regard, which is huge for you guys.
Yeah. And the nutty thing was that pretty much the whole weekend, Millie played the left. Paris.
Okay, I did not realize
Paris
that.
played the right. No, all good.
Yeah.
Disregard that comment.
I take
Millie,
it out.
so Millie balled out on the left, but
She
Paris
did.
just played a bigger right side role and took
Gotcha.
on Sunday, Paris was coming over a lot more. She was taking more thirds off of Millie's inside foot.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, she was kind of just being the dominant force on the right and playing a big role there.
Yeah, but did you see Millie come alive
Come alive.
that last day? I don't know. I felt to me, it was almost the team was we have nothing to lose. Let's just go out there and do the very best we can do. And so I think they played free. But gosh, how many poaches? I mean, did Millie have in that?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Paris has got a linear flat drive, allows Millie to disconnect
So
and get in
good.
there and cause some havoc.
Yeah.
Millie's is using the new Yola paddle, which has got a little extra zing to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. We were sitting at home screaming at the TV, obviously.
We were.
Sick as dogs, and our kids were there. We're just waiting for a time to head to the airport at 10 that night.
Yeah.
But geez,
After the squeeze, beat the Black Diamonds, Meg took off her shirt and she's running around the house. She was. I said, keep your clothes on.
Jumping up and down
for
on the
God's
couch.
sakes.
I was texting Roscoe in the middle of matches.
It's so funny.
Tyson's are you texting Roscoe?
I was texting Roscoe all day on Sunday during matches, and the guy would respond within 10 seconds.
Mid-matches.
Yeah. Mid-match.
He
He had his phone on him.
Tyson's doing some couch coaching.
Yeah.
Get those texts in.
Doing everything we could from the couch. It was good.
Nice little bounce back for Roscoe, right? Got waived, a challenger from Miami after the first couple of events.
Yeah.
So steps in, I think, from the commentator booth.
Oh, yeah.
Throws on a squeeze jersey and balls out. Good for him.
It's so funny. He pretty much did everything this last weekend. He acted as a practice partner. He commentated, and then he ended up stepping in the very last day.
Be ready for anything.
Right.
No,
Right,
but I think
right.
even more so, let's talk about Spencer. I mean,
Spency.
give kudos. He wasn't even drafted,
Utah
right? Not
hero,
even on
baby.
Challenger.
No.
And his hands looked good.
No, he looked very good.
Right?
Yeah, he's got some pretty heavy hands, drives the third well, doesn't miss on the left, probably a better left side guy than he is right side guy. Made the right shot selection. Honestly, did a lot of things well, for sure.
He's been playing at a high level for a long time. I just don't think he, has the same flash that some other guys have, but he's got the experience, and I'm not surprised, for him to be able to step up and be able to hang at that level.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, against the Black Diamonds, our females, I think, lost 24-26. Our guys lost 23-25.
They should have.
We could have easily won both gender and both mix, and it would have been a 4-0 clean sweep.
Yeah.
That would have been a pretty crazy storyline.
Memes of Pickleball would have eaten them alive.
Oh, yeah.
They already somewhat have, but it would have been much different if it was a 4-0 sweep.
Oh, man.
Okay, let's see. What else we got here? Dun, 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 dun. Did I talk about player standings already?
No.
I don't think you mentioned the individual
Okay,
players.
so player standings from Salt Lake City. AL went 10-2, not too shabby. Ranchers, the whole Rancher, K-Mac, hear this. The whole Ranchers team went 9-3. You have Augie, you have Georgia, you have Hurricane, and
no, that's Dallas. That's Dallas. Ranchers is Alshon,
yes.
Duong.
Yes.
Yep.
Alshon, Duong. You have Etta Wright, and you have Tina Pisnick that all went 9-3. Come on.
It's a good team.
That's a damn good team, I'll tell you what.
Our challengers got one of those.
Well, ones. And I mean, talk about such a ballsy trade. To trade Pablo for QD and have Kwong play the way he is with Christian on the right, and Christian was, wasn't Christian their first pick?
Yeah, he was like the fourth or fifth overall pick of the draft.
Yeah.
So it was crazy to throw that guy over on the right side.
But I mean, tell me,
for a non-drafted player just a couple months later.
Tell me, do you think that's the best trade right now in Premier?
Yeah. I mean, I think not just for right now, but for the future.
Right.
And I was somewhat critical of the trade. Nothing against Duong, but I don't think Pablo has lost it, right? I think his level's still there, and I thought that maybe they didn't need to be as aggressive to get Duong now, but to be able to have him for his ability right now, but also how much better he'll be in a year or two with his age and how new he is at concentrating on doubles. So, I mean, they're going to be a good team, not just this season, but every year going forward.
Right. Tell me this. What's the second best trade in Premier MLP? And I think I know what you're going to say.
I mean, I think us. I mean, for Elise and no shade against Elise's way. She's a great player and deserves to be picked up by a Premier level team for sure. Right. It's just unlucky for her that we traded, with the challenger team. But Glosman, does she have limitations or things that she needs to work on? Of course, right? We all do. But she was an exact complementary piece to what we needed, and I think we saw that at the midseason tournament.
Right. We also had Georgia and J-Dub go 8-4, and then we had Hayden go 9-3. So crazy weekend. Always love going to Utah, and a ton of passion for pickleball there in Utah. And did we mention about the franchise deal with Pickler? Mom, you want to mention that?
Yeah, just the Picklers it's crazy.
Come on.
I think they've sold 300 total franchises, which is insane.
That's
insane.
All indoors,
number.
Right? I'm pretty sure every location is
I would
indoors.
assume so. Maybe some have a combo, but I'm not certain. All the ones that we've seen anyways.
Right.
But the ones that we've seen have been in Utah, and those would need to be fully indoor because of the weather. Right. I mean, I would assume
300 is just a crazy number to think about. Sure. I mean, that's every state in the U.S., 6 per state already sold. I mean, that's unreal. I'm wondering the timeline for getting all those completed and done, but that's just a crazy number to me.
At least from what I've seen at the Utah locations, which hasn't been a lot, but it seems like their footprint and just kind of their plug and play nature of the way they have everything set up, it seems like you can easily convert an existing building or some prior structure that is been sitting maybe on the market for forever.
Slap 12 courts in there.
So yeah, I think the nature of that just makes it so, because we all know that the demand is there, right? And so to know that it's working and you have the support from a company to set it up from ground up, I think makes it
a good time
so appealing,
too with so many big retail brick and mortar buildings struggling.
Exactly.
I imagine there's a lot of decent deals on some warehouses or just bigger structures.
Right.
Two things you can always expect in Utah: a lot of late night candy and dessert shops, and a lot of late night pickleball, baby. Right? They know how to party. They know how to party, right? 9 p.m. to midnight, it's caffeine and pickle. It is. Right, K-Mac? You know that.
Oh, for sure. Utah does it right. I'm telling you.
They do it right.
Honestly, yeah, I mean, we were talking about this weekend how many young families are just crushing it in Utah, and I feel like they've all got their priorities straight.
They do.
And,
they're freaking disciplined,
you know,
right?
when you're disciplined.
In their 20s, they own businesses. They got 10 kids, and they're slaying life.
Yeah, 100%. It's awesome. It's cool to see, and love all the fans in Utah. It's so fun going back to Utah.
It's such
anytime.
a younger fan base, you know?
Yeah, and it just like they all remember, right? Like from TOC's forever and ever ago,
right.
you know, it's just the same fans, and it's cool to see.
It was cute. I had this one kid this last weekend, and he made me sign probably like 10 or 15 different pieces, like sign his shoes, sign his ball, sign his hat, sign his paddle, sign his shirt. All the same kid just kept coming back. Yeah, it was too funny.
And there's a family there, so we met them originally in Atlanta. I believe it was in MLP when he played for the Hustlers.
Right.
And these little girls were the cutest thing, and they were cheering so loud for the Hustlers, and they were just getting so hyped up in the crowd. And at the end, they were waiting for a photo, and you were down in Atlanta. You know, it's like you're not right with the fans. And so I was like, hey, love, you need to take a photo with these girls. And so she came up, and their mom, who's also named Megan, she didn't forget that. So she was very sweet and said she was a fan of mine, which is way too sweet. So sure enough, we're at the Pickler in Utah. They just moved to Utah the day before the event. So they came down to the event. They live like an hour away from the Pickler. And so we got to see the girls there, and they were so cute, and they were screaming for the squeeze the whole time.
And Banks and one of the daughters had a great time together.
Right.
Became best friends.
Oh, yeah. They hung out the whole time. They were buying desserts. They were playing in the Margaritaville lounge. There was like there was some ping pong, and then what do you call that, Jenga, and something else. And so they had a blast. So they played together, and so it was just fun. It was really quite the family event. So fun for fans, and it was good to see everybody there.
K-Mac, okay, it's a couple hot takes here. What do you think about Zane's Nasty Nelson on Hayden?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I've never been a huge fan of the Nasty Nelson. I mean, I guess it's part of the game, I suppose. It feels a little bit disrespectful to me, but I suppose it's part of the game. I don't know. Hayden didn't seem too big of a fan of it. It makes for, something fun to talk about. I've never tried a Nasty Nelson, so maybe I'm biased, and it's just not a play that I've really thought to use. What do you think?
No, I think... Well, I think the score line was pretty lopsided.
They're pretty desperate at the time, right?
Yeah, so I think Zane was just kind of kidding around. I think both Zane and Will were probably taking some verbal abuse the whole time, as Tardio and Hayden like to give it out, which is totally fine. They're young and
they definitely trip with the best of them.
They back it up. They're both playing at a super high level. That's probably one of the better men's teams. Definitely not a fan of it. It was on center court. I think the fans liked it. It's something new. K-Mac, you know the history behind the Nasty Nelson, how it came from Puppet Master and that.
I actually don't. I mean, I assumed it came from him just because of the Nelson name, but I don't know when he first rolled it out or what happened there.
So yeah, the notorious Puppet Master used to do this way back in the day. It's a kid from Seattle. He was like one of the best players in the world at that time. I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of etiquette. I wouldn't personally do something like that, but it seemed like the fans ate it up. I know Memes at Pickleball definitely posted about it, and it seemed like Hayden was just kind of laughing afterwards. So yeah, I think it was all fun and games. And then next hot take was, did you see AL bagging Jay?
I did, and Memes got a hold of that and made some great stuff with it. But no, I mean, the drop shot gone wrong from the Frenchman.
Take one to the chest.
Setup. He's thinking, is she going to go line? Is she going to try to dink away from me? And then all of a sudden just comes hot and hard right at him. A little payback for his attempt at James in DC.
Right. I think it's karma,
It always comes back.
It does. And then, last hot take is Black Diamonds got their first win over AZ Drive. Here's the crazy thing. We lose with 3 of our premier level players to AZ Drive 1-3. and then Black Diamonds beat AZ Drive, and then we beat the Black Diamonds with 3 alternates.
I know.
I mean, maybe our best team is with Fed and I sitting out.
Is that
Get into your couch coaching. Tyson.
Right.
Start sending texts on the couch. Get your team playing.
That's my best use for the team.
Is that not MLP though? In a basket. I
guess.
mean, you never know what can happen, and I don't know. I still think there's such a big part to like those guys being able to play free and like have something to prove and have a big chip on their shoulder and say, what the hell, we're going to go out here and we're just going to do our best. Obviously not an ideal situation for anybody, but, I think that changes things sometimes when you don't have the pressure on you. Although I felt like Millie was feeling the pressure the whole tournament.
Days.
Yeah, for the first 2 days.
She was nice and free the last day.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, but yeah, it's good.
Let's see what else I got. Do you guys have anything else?
We really let's see. One thing that we've talked about, we really want to do more of is answer your guys' questions. So make sure you submit us some of your questions in the comments below, and we will tackle those questions on the next episode. So any questions about the league, the tour, I don't know, rules questions, tactical questions.
What color undies K-Mac is wearing?
Yeah. Send all the questions.
Surprise. It's always a surprise.
And then talk about Kansas City coming up.
Okay, Kansas City. So we had mentioned earlier, starts on, K-Mac, Challenger starts on Friday?
I think so. Yeah.
Challenger Friday, runs through Monday, and then we go right into a PPA event that starts Thursday. Yeah. So back to back, definitely very convenient for MLP and PPA to collab together like that and to kind of run a spin-off PPA event after MLP Kansas City. But yeah, so we'll be in Kansas City for about 10 days, and then we go directly to Bristol, Tennessee, back to Salt Lake City, straight to Vegas, and then we're home for about a week. So it's going to be a nice little 4-weekend adventure.
Yeah, it's a long time. I think we're on the road until
the first week of September.
Yeah, I think it's even longer than
that.
Dun. Tyson, what do you prefer? Do you prefer, if they're at the same location, MLP first followed by PPA, or would you prefer PPA followed by MLP? Do you have a preference?
That's a great question, K-Mac. Yeah, I personally, I'm hitting the life out of my serve right now. So I just wish the freaking serve rule was the same, because going from a tossing serve for a couple days and then 2 days later going right back to a drop serve is a little tricky. But yeah, I think MLP before, obviously they both have meaning and they're still very nice? Important.
Isn't this nice, though, going from I know this wasn't really your question, Kyle, but going from an MLP to then keeping with another MLP and then doing a PPA, I think that is probably the best transition, right? So you're doing MLP longer.
I think it's nice that we have 2 days off, that's for sure. It's nice that we have 2 days off. We can kind of get ourselves gathered. I think most players will probably take Tuesday off and then practice on Wednesday and then rock and roll for the PPA come Thursday. But I think I just think just the convenience of having them both together. We can save on expenses. They're in the same location. We get adapted to that area. I think all that stuff is very important. But yeah, I think whether it's PPA to an MLP or it's MLP to a PPA, just being in the same location makes a lot of sense. Yeah. What do you think, K-Mac?
Yeah, I not being a player, it's a different mindset for me. Right. I would think that starting with MLP maybe would be better just because you're getting a lot of touches in, getting your competitive juices flowing. And then I think you're probably just a little bit more prepared for PPA, maybe minus the serve where you can go after a little bit more with MLP serving rules. But again, not being a player, I don't know if I have the best answer on that one.
Right, for sure. Okay, well, K-Mac has a camp coming up directly after Kansas City. You guys can sign up at TysonMcGuffin.com. We are still taking signups, and where is that location going to be at?
Kansas City, north chicken and pickle. So
back to C and P. K-Mac hates teaching at chicken and pickle.
I know the food is awful.
Their food is awful. They're not convenient.
The environment's bad.
Just has everything right there.
Yeah, that's awful, right? Yeah.
Tough ordeal.
4 indoor, 4 outdoor courts.
Place is money.
Yeah, we have
Perfect
space still. So hurry up, get signed up. Check out the website. We've got all of our camps up except for 2 in December that we will be posting here very soon. So make sure you get signed up and get your spot held. Another fun thing to look forward to, and we will have a preview of this at the Kansas City camp. But yeah, just a little insight into our partnership with RPPK and Duper. If you guys haven't checked that out, RPPK is doing a train the coaches, a level 1 and a level 2 cert, really upping your game as a coach, things that you haven't been taught before, ways to improve your teaching, so on and so forth. And then the McGuffin certification that will come out very soon will be more of the meat and potatoes of actually teaching pickleball, what that looks like, and you'll be able to get certified in the new modern game and what that curriculum looks like. So definitely check it out. Kansas City is the start, so make sure that you get signed up for Kansas City, and you'll get a little bit more information live on what those 2 programs are going to look like.
All right, thank you very much. Like, subscribe, turn those notifications on, and we will see you guys next episode.